To file the tax report in Germany sounds like a quite complex task, isn't it? But you can definitely simplify this bureaucratic process if you use the right software. I have tested two different platforms, Wundertax and Taxfix, to file my tax report here in Germany, and in this video I want to share with you the insights that I got out of my personal experience so you can decide which software app to file your tax report in Germany fits you better. And before I start comparing Wundertax and Taxfix, let's briefly talk about the free solution that everyone is exposed to. You can definitely use Elster first if you have enough knowledge of bureaucratic German language, and the second if you are not afraid of going through hundreds of questions that are not pre-filtered based on your use case. If you are not afraid of those two factors, you can definitely go to Elster and do all the work by yourself without paying any cent for that work. If you are using Elster, you have to reserve at least 2 weeks or 3 weeks in advance before you actually go to the portal and start entering all the information to file your tax report. Why? Because when you are registering or reopening the Elster after a long time not using this portal, you actually need to go through the 2 steps authentication. One of them is authentifying you through your email, and the second one authenticates you through your physical mail address. It means that up to 2 or 3 weeks you need to reserve in advance, because that would be the time when you are waiting for the second mail to come with an activation code that you can enter on the portal and finally get an access to the questionnaire to fill in the form providing all the tax information in Germany. But if you want to simplify the process and you are not feeling okay about going with the bureaucratic German language, let's go into the software apps that are already providing you the better user experience, and let's compare. And I want to start this comparison, of course, from the things that we have in common. First of all, it's the user experience. I have to say that both of the apps are quite intuitive, and as it's said on the official website, it doesn't require you any prior tax filing experience in order to use those apps. And I can just confirm it, because I remember when I just done my first time tax reporting, I was pretty new to the topic, and with that I could easily go through all the questions in the questionnaire and provide all the necessary information. There is also important thing that sometimes they even have the additional information section to explain some more difficult terms if that requires some additional explanation, so that's why you can rely on that. Another point, that both of the apps provide you up to 4 years in retrospective to provide the information to your tax authority about the previous years. It makes sense if you are just starting and you had the previous years working from the home office, for example, and you upgraded your home office and spent a certain amount of money on the equipment. If you order that online, you can definitely search for invoices and calculate all the expenses you had for your home office, for example, or declare any other expenses. Another common thing that both Wundertax and Taxfix have in common is the possibility to transfer the pre-filled information, personal data, from the previous year to the next one. So it becomes very handy if you stick to one software and you use it from one year to another, because it definitely cuts the time to pre-fill all these fields with the personal data that most likely stays the same. So it makes it even faster for you to file a tax report and get your tax refund back. Both of these platforms provide you an additional capability of changing some data. If you've done some mistakes or miscalculated something, you can definitely go to change the data before you submitted the final report. So that's why I recommend you to always file the tax report and not go straight into the submission process, but allow it to sit for a day or a week, and then come back and verify all the information you provided and spot if you have missed something and change it when it's super easy for you and free of charge. But if after submission you have realized that there is some data is incorrect, you definitely can find a workaround, and both of the platforms, Wundertax and Taxfix, provide you with some workaround flow how you can basically change the data after it's being submitted. And one more I wanted to share about the process of filing your tax report in Germany. Basically, it applies to all the additional software that you use to file your tax report. They don't have an influence on how fast your tax refund is being processed and how quickly you get your money back. Because there is the bureaucratical process. Once you submitted the tax report to your tax authority, it is based purely on the speed of the process in that tax office locally, rather than app has any influence on speeding up the process. So do not have the fault expectation to get your money back really quickly just because you use one of the paid apps to file your tax report. If you want to get it faster, you can always prioritize filing and submitting your tax report earlier enough at the beginning of the year. So that's why you are falling into the cohort of the first reports who are going to be processed on your local tax office. Now let's talk about the differences that actually influenced my decision which app I do use for filing my tax report in Germany. And first of the differences, it's the ability to scan your payslip and have the all data pre-filled automatically into the questionnaire. Taxfix has this possibility and Wundertax doesn't. It means that it cuts the time for you to process all the data, and if you are just a newbie to filing your tax report in Germany, you can easily scan the payslip, basically having your phone in front of this paper, having enough light for the numbers to be recognized. And if you are employed just by one company, by one employer, it's super easy because basically all the information is provided there and you skip the multiple different questions and got the information pre-filled. You can just double check that everything is being scanned correctly. It means that all the fields that are provided in your payslip are being transferred correctly in the right fields in the app. But for the Wundertax, you always need to do this by yourself. One more significant difference that I want to highlight in this video, of course, it's a fee that you pay for submitting your tax report. In Wundertax, it's the €34.99, and for Taxfix submission you pay €39.99. But the good news is that you can report this expense back next year when you file your tax report and get refunded on this expense, because that's the software that actually empowers you to provide all the information to the tax office, and it's considered as your work-related expenses. It means that you basically can neglect this information about the fees just because if you file the tax report next year, this information doesn't really matter. But what's really matter to me, that was the use case. What are the use cases that certain apps are covering? And I would start from the Taxfix, because that's definitely super easy level to enter the tax report in Germany, but not covering all the use cases that I have, for example, in my life. So technically speaking, Taxfix is the good fit for everyone who is just a full-time or part-time employee. In this case, it's super easy to go through that, and that was the app I started with and got my very first experience filing the tax report in Germany was that app. I use it, if I'm not mistaken, for 2 years, and then I switched to the Wundertax. And the reason why I use Wundertax now, just because it's not only covering the employee use case situation, but it also allows users to file the tax report for the self-employed. In my case, I have my YouTube blog registered as the small business, so that's why I'm filing additional tax report for that. And also I filed the capital gain taxes, and this section also included in the Wundertax questionnaire, so that's why it was relatively easy for me to file the capital gain tax in my Wundertax application. If you are like me who have the multiple income streams, then probably Wundertax would be a better fit for you to use it to declare all of them. But if you have the simple situation like I had a few years ago, being only an employee and having the payslip at the end of the year, it should be straightforward and you can choose either of them. That doesn't hurt to try both of them. And that's actually the last but not the least difference that you may observe while using those two apps, that they might have slightly a different final calculation on your tax refund. So that's why based on the personal experience, advice would be you can go through both of the questionnaire for the Wundertax and the Taxfix in case you are simply an employee who needs to cover the simplest use case possible, and then till the last point you can compare the final pre-calculated tax refund for yourself and submit only that one that actually stands out, that has higher value to get back to your bank account. That might be a tricky version and would require a bit more time than filing just one tax report, but that would also lead you to experiencing and practicing more of the tax filing with the additional software app that would ultimately lead you to better understanding how in general taxes in Germany work. I hope this video was helpful for you, and before the deadline comes this year, it's July 31st, to file your tax report in Germany. You have all the information you need to provide all the tax report information to your tax authority and get your tax refund back to your account and enjoy the beauty of applying the knowledge into the practice. I wish you the great day. Let's see each other in my other videos that are already available on my channel, and let's see each other. Take care. Bye bye.